So what is due diligence? What is an inspection period? And what does the buyer and the seller need to be aware of during this inspection period, also known as a due diligence period? An inspection period is the ability for the buyer to perform inspections on the property. In the as-is contract, there specifically contains a right for the buyer to perform inspections and for the seller to allow a buyer to have access of the property to perform these inspections. Now, normally what happens from a practical standpoint is the buyer will contact a licensed inspector and have this inspector go around and do a visual inspection of the property to ensure that everything is in working order. An inspection is not an exhaustive inspection, but the most common inspection is a 4-point inspection, whereby they're inspecting the 4 points of the 4 different aspects of the property. So they're making sure that all the appliances are in working order, they're making sure that there's no damage to the property, they're making sure that the AC is working, and they're doing a comprehensive inspection of the property. After the inspection is done, the buyer is normally given a report from the inspector in which they hired that details the results from the inspection. The inspection can include certain areas that the house is non-functional in. For example, perhaps the thermostat or the smoke detectors are not working. That may be included on the inspection report. And it gives the most important aspect is that an inspection report gives the buyer knowledge and insight on what they are purchasing. It's an extremely important part of the contract, and by no means would I ever advise any buyer to bypass or to skip this portion of the transaction. It gives the buyer the confidence to say, I want to purchase this property and I want to move forward with the purchase of this property. Normally an inspection period with the as-is contract is 15 days, but it could be negotiated for more or for less time. Ultimately, it's the agreement of the buyer and seller, however long the inspection period is. Once the inspection is complete, then continues on with the process of the transaction. So a myth that I'd like to dispel for a lot of people is once you sign a real estate contract to purchase a piece of property, don't guess or don't assume that you're going to be purchasing that property tomorrow. Right? The process of a real estate transaction takes time. It doesn't have to take months, but the quickest time it would take for a cash transaction to occur would be around 10 days to 14 days, generally speaking. That means from the day that the contract signed, it takes 10 to 14 days to become owner and to close on the property.